Hello, this is Max. A seemingly perfect young couple compete for a $5 million prize by isolating themselves in an empty white room for 50 days. Don't forget to subscribe. A couple named Catherine and Michael enters a completely white room, filled with amazement. Catherine points to a red button and suggests that her boyfriend should press it. With excitement, Michael pushes the red button and is instantly greeted by a voice informing them that they've been chosen to spend 50 days in this immaculate room, with the chance to win $5 million if they complete the task. However, if one of them leaves, the prize money will drop to $1 million for the remaining person. Upon hearing this, the couple starts running around enthusiastically. As they lay down on the floor, they contemplate if this might all be a dream. Michael believes they were simply lucky and should be thankful, while Catherine suggests that they should split the money if they win. She then asks Michael what he plans to do with his share, and he shares his ambitious dreams. Shortly after, Michael notices the room's all-white surroundings. As they enter the bathroom, the voice informs them that it's only for one contestant at a time, so Catherine stays inside while Michael reads the rules on the screen. He then dispenses what appears to be a milk box from the food treat dispenser and comments on its taste compared to Shake Shack. Catherine sets the automatic lights to turn off at 10 p.m. and the wake-up alarm at 7 a.m. She checks with Michael if these settings are okay with him, and he agrees, mentioning that he's on vacation and may never get out of bed. The lights turn off with a voice announcing evening. As they are about to sleep, Michael tries to have some fun with Catherine, but she's concerned about being observed by Professor Voyan and suggests they be discreet under the covers. The next day, Catherine practices self-affirmation in front of the mirror. After taking a shower, she finds Michael already awake, and a playful exchange ensues. Catherine has her breakfast, and Michael comments on their attire, likening them to people with mental health conditions. Worried, Catherine asks Michael about Professor Voyan's intentions, and he explains the bizarre experiment Voyan conducted, involving making an American family famous with dire consequences. Michael reveals that Voyan's motivation remains a mystery, except for his fascination with the human condition. Uneasy, Michael gazes at the countdown clock, marking their days in the immaculate room. Suddenly, the room's lights brighten, and the voice announces it's midday. Meanwhile, Catherine focuses on meditation as her way of coping with their situation. Later that day, Michael expresses his dislike for the color white because it represents the absence of color. He also dislikes the clock, as it briefly went backward for a few seconds before moving forward again. Catherine advises him not to stare at it, but he continues to ponder their situation, expressing concerns about not knowing if they've been there for the full 50 days, with the clock as their only reference. Catherine dismisses this as conspiracy theories on just the second day. However, Michael's discontent grows, and he begins to despise everything in the room. He even notices that the lights change to simulate different times of day. As he voices his frustrations, the lights turn off, signaling bedtime. Catherine reminds him to focus on the prize, but Michael remains wide awake, lost in thought. In the morning, Catherine continues her daily routine and uses self-affirmation to keep her spirits up. When she exits the bathroom, she finds Michael looking confused. She encourages him and suggests he take a shower. Anxious about their seemingly endless confinement, the couple starts engaging in various activities each day to combat boredom. They jog, play together, and dance. Catherine continues her meditation, while Michael runs and continues to monitor the clock, their only connection to the outside world. However, as the days pass, the couple's mental state deteriorates. One day, as they sit quietly in the room, Michael notices a bug on the floor. He starts talking to the bug, going on about how there's absolutely nothing to see or do in the room because it's entirely empty. He even gives the bug a name, Chloe. Catherine comments that, judging by its appearance, the bug won't survive for long. Determined to help Chloe, Michael rushes to get some of their food to feed it. However, the voice interjects and informs them that the food is only for the contestants to consume. Disappointed, Michael tells the voice that he just wants to release the bug from the room and has no intention of leaving himself. However, Catherine advises Michael not to push the button to open the door, as the system will see him as forfeiting the challenge. Despite her warning, Michael shouts that he wants to let the bug out because it's a living being. The voice reminds him that if one of them leaves, the prize money will drop to $1 million. Catherine insists that it's just a bug, and Michael comments that she lacks compassion for others, particularly because she's not a vegan. She points out that he believes she only turned vegan to irritate his rich dad. who provided him with everything he needed, so he never really experienced suffering, which, in his view, strips him of his artsy street cred. After this exchange, she walks away but accidentally steps on the bug, apologizing in shock. Michael doesn't acknowledge her and leaves. Moments later, Michael decides to take a treat, despite the fact that it'll cost him $100,000 deducted from his potential winnings. He ends up getting a green crayon and starts drawing on the wall, considering where to start. Catherine hugs him from behind, asking him to draw a portrait of her. Michael starts to draw but doesn't want to create a straightforward portrait, finding it boring. He prefers a more interesting and abstract style. Noticing that Michael doesn't want to draw her as a traditional portrait, Catherine leaves in annoyance, feeling that her boyfriend doesn't care. Michael continues to draw until he runs out of crayon, then washes his hands. Catherine gets irritated when she finds a stained towel on the floor and crayon residue on the sink after he cleaned up. Catherine sits beside him on the floor and apologizes for her behavior, realizing that things are getting out of hand. She cheers him up by mentioning that they only have 20 days left to complete the challenge. As she enters the bathroom, Catherine calls out to Michael in shock after finding a gun on the sink. She asks him to check it, but Michael is afraid that it might be loaded. Unable to dispose of it in the laundry chute, they kicked a gun under the bed. Shortly after, the voice announces that Connect is about to start, and Michael explains to Catherine that Connect is a message from a family member. He receives a video message from his sister, which makes him happy. However, the smile on Michael's face melts away when his sister asks him if he was in the immaculate room to forget Catherine, suggesting that leaving her was the right thing to do. She also tells Michael to take care and forget what happened to Sean. Following Michael's video message, the screen displays Catherine's father. Much to her surprise, she immediately shouts, wanting the video to end because she doesn't want to see it. However, the video continues, with her father asking to meet with her. He claims to have been off the streets for a year and is currently living at St. Mary's Shelter. Michael tries to comfort the panicking Catherine, but she pushes him away and sits in the corner, where she starts to cry as her father sings a song from her childhood. The following day, Michael sees that Catherine refuses to get out of bed. She confesses that it was her father in the video and admits to lying about him because she was ashamed of him. Her father had drunk away their house and her school fees, making her life miserable. With nothing more to do, Michael loses his mind and even starts reading the Shirts Wash tag repeatedly. He eventually joins Catherine on the bed just as the lights turn off for nighttime. Unable to sleep, he stares at the clock, contemplating what lies ahead. As morning comes, Michael wakes up on the floor and tells Catherine to take the treat, saying that it's worth it. He reminds her that they have 18 more days to go and that taking a treat will help her get through it. Michael worries that Catherine is also losing her mind, but she insists that she's fine and will continue her usual routine. Later that day, Michael lies on the floor with spilled food beside him. Catherine approaches him and tells him to take a second treat. Michael obliges and goes to the screen to take another treat. To his surprise, a woman enters and introduces herself as Simone. Michael is confused about what's happening, and when Catherine shows up, Simone introduces herself. She reveals that she's an actress who got the gig from her manager, who booked her for a month. Catherine doesn't believe that Simone didn't know anything, but Simone explains that she had no idea about the room. Catherine then tells Michael to give his shirt to Simone, which he immediately does. Simone wanders around the room, saying it reminds her of the studio she used to dance in. Catherine isn't pleased with the situation, and Michael insists that he doesn't know what happened. While Simone praises the art that Michael made and even identifies the style he used, Catherine calls him and asks what they're going to do, as it's not cool to have a random person with them. While Catherine is discussing their next move, the lights turn off. Michael explains to Simone that the lights automatically turn off every evening. Since there's no spare bed, he offers Simone to sleep on the bed with Catherine while he sleeps on the floor. Too shy to accept, Simone says she'll stay awake the whole evening. However, Catherine insists that there's plenty of room for all of them, and Simone gladly accepts her offer. The following day, Catherine wakes up and finds Simone gone. Thinking she left, Catherine is relieved, only to find her in the bathroom after a shower. Catherine decides to take her treat to relax. She takes her treat and finds a small bottle of substances. She takes one pill along with Simone, but Catherine warns her boyfriend that he should sit this one out. However, Simone insists that they all take it, so Michael also takes one. Moments later, everything starts to change as the pill begins to affect them. They have a good time until Michael suddenly collapses on the bed. While watching them dance from afar, he then sees blood all over the place, and as the blood flows around him, Michael suddenly falls into the water. While struggling underwater, he sees Sean jump into the pool. He tries to get to him, but Catherine and Simone shake him awake. Crying, Michael gets up to leave the room, but Catherine blocks him, convincing him to think about the prize money instead. He then lays down on the bed, apologizing to Sean as Catherine comforts him. Later that day, Simone asks Catherine who Sean is, so she shares that Sean was Michael's little brother who drowned while under his care. Michael was high at the time, so he couldn't save him. That evening, Michael washes his face, trying to compose himself. Simone invites him to sit with her, and downheartedly, he tries to explain his story. But Simone reveals that Catherine already told her about Sean. Simone starts to talk about her mother, who died in a car crash when she was 12. Michael cries, realizing that when somebody dies, love is the only balm to the pain. While the two were talking, a jealous Catherine interrupts, asking what's happening with them. Michael assures her that they're only talking. Enraged, Catherine scolds Simone for hitting on her boyfriend, calling her a call girl. Simone fires back, calling her insecure, until Michael shouts and leaves. When he's gone, Catherine realizes that it was probably nothing, but Simone hints that maybe it wasn't before walking away. The next day, Catherine knocks on the bathroom door, asking Simone if she's about to finish, but no one answers. She decides to open the door and discovers that Simone is gone. In regret, she tells Michael that Simone has left. Noticing writing on the wall, Catherine calls Michael and points out the writing, which suggests that he was close to Simone while she was asleep. Disoriented, Michael insists that nothing happened between them. However, Catherine points out that Simone looked like Michael's ex-girlfriend. Pissed, Catherine pushes him, causing him to hit his head on the wall and bleed. She rushes to him, saying it was an accident. He moves away and asks her if he has ever been unfaithful to her. He also reminds her that he stopped seeing his so-called rich friends because she was uncomfortable and didn't attend art school because she was depressed. He does all of this to make her happy and secure, but what he receives in return is jealousy. Michael collapses on the floor, deciding that they need to get out of the room. Catherine asks him to wait and immediately grabs their sustenance and a towel. She puts the towel on his head and makes him drink the sustenance, but Michael insists that he needs a doctor. Unfortunately, they didn't have an allowance for medical intervention in the contract. As Michael weakly leans on the wall, he realizes that she doesn't care about what happens to him and will let him bleed for the money. But Catherine denies it. Michael asks her to leave with him, but she still refuses, so he gets up and walks to the red button. Michael says that the room is a mirror that sets them up to test them morally and spiritually, but clearly, they're failing. Whatever he says, Catherine insists on them staying, but he keeps telling her that staying in the room is wrong. Catherine is firm about her decision to stay, but Michael decides that he will leave with or without her. As he nears the red button, Catherine yells at him to stop walking. When Michael turns, he sees her shakingly holding a gun against him, insisting that he can't leave. She claims he's not being rational to throw away millions of dollars. Despite this, Michael calmly says that the room is messing with her mind. He then turns around, even though Catherine gives him a warning shot. He continuously walks to the red button, pushes it, and finally walks outside to his freedom. A voice then thanks her for staying and states that the prize money drops to $1 million. Upon hearing this, Catherine is devastated and lies on the floor. Days go by, and Catherine still manages to stay in the room, but she keeps crying, shouting, and staring at the wall. 2 days before the end of the contest, she slowly approaches the red button and reaches for it. Days later, Michael is running on the street, and to his surprise, he sees Catherine coming out of the St. Mary's building. After greeting each other awkwardly, the two apologize to each other for what happened between them. Catherine then shares that she was visiting her father. As Michael walks to her car, he curiously asks her if she made it, but she avoids his question and asks about his life. From the side of the building, a plaque commemorates how the new St. Mary's Kitchen manages to continue its operation because of an anonymous donor. One day, a new couple arrives at the Immaculate Room. Sandy Williams and Jason Wright can't contain their excitement, hoping to win the prize. As she looks around the place, Sandy is hopeful that the Immaculate Room will change everything. If you are interested in such films, please proceed to the next video on the screen and also share your thoughts about this film in the comments. Give us a like and subscribe. Goodbye.